Hello, welcome. This small video to recap everything that has been done from the engineering team during the first half of 2022. I will leave you the trivia for yourself if you visit the Notion page. So let's move on to the actual changes. There are some things that even we don't realize that have changed so much, like the dashboard, which we consider already completed by the start of the year, but the recommended actions was just a list of bullet items, and now it's a much better resource of what you can do about it, with links to add this fact to your next one-on-one or even start an action program. The individual team dashboard also has changed, believe it or not. We have refactored all the headers. We have added the work engagement widget. We have added the change since last survey item, and even added the job resources satisfaction at individual level. Then, beyond the dashboard, we have added a new welcome screen to the users that come from the burnout index. It's a full-fledged welcome screen with dynamic messages for each one of the levels of burnout, plus highlights of the most relevant factors that are present in your survey, and the most important thing, CTA to take action or to start using Yerbo regularly. Moving on, again, this is what you could see if you go to the app.yerbo.co on January the 1st. The only way to access the web app was through the Slack bot, clicking on the Open Dashboard button. And since then, we have retired Gandalf, we have added signing with Google, we have added the signing with Slack first, and we even now have a profile page. All that didn't exist by the very first day of the year. It's quite impressive. Next, true action programs. If you remember, there was a very minimum action programs by then, that basically was just seeing text and filling in plain input text boxes on a single column form. We didn't have any list of action programs where you could choose from. We didn't have any progress indicator of the exercise you were doing. We only had one program at the same time per person. There was not even any kind of conditional thing. You could even get an action program. The only way we can deliver these action programs was through Slack messages. And now we have an exercise page that we couldn't be more proud of, with a progress bar, a proper progress bar, flexible layout, like having multiple columns, different sizes of columns, side pictures, practically any kind of layout that you could imagine. 3 ways to format quotes, conditional sections that can be hidden or locked down and blurred using the information of the previous steps, interpolation of text with the answers from previous exercises and previous steps of the same exercise, multimedia using embedded assets that we host or even YouTube videos, on proper congress and end of exercise page. In addition to that, we added interactivity in a really big way with widgets of all forms, starting with simple drop-down menus, buttons for adding things to Google Calendar, buttons for sending emails, for tweeting, buttons or navigate to the dashboard or whatever you want to. Then we had all sort of ranking with very unique flavors of ranking widgets, and also formatting of ranked elements or top N elements, icon strip single selection with animations, and the latest one, which is the XY position widget that allows really great interactivity over executing an exercise of an action program. Beyond that, we have added basic functionality like save for later and auto-saving, redirecting automatically from other surveys like work-life immersive journeys. And beyond that, we have added also a proper home for the user-generated Yerbo generated action programs. We added program details also with author details and a full preview of what the exercise is all about, and even empty state for when we haven't any suggestion that will lead you to get some insight by taking surveys. Moving on, beyond action programs, also a brand new thing for Yerbo this year was the addition of an email infrastructure and any kind of emails as notifications from Yerbo. We use Amazon Web Services email services and a set of libraries to build our fully customizable transactional emails that can be defined in Contentful by the editor. And now you can receive emails instead of Slack notifications when it's time for the weekly survey, or someone added a topic to your next one-on-one, or someone invited you to Yerbo or to a team inside Yerbo. All those emails are, as I said, defined in Contentful with full HTML and media support. Sixth, and yes, we are just past half of what we have done. It's some improvements and some modifications to the Slack bot app. First, we revamped all the reminders. Before 2022, all the reminders were sent using Slack messages, manual Slack messages by our own team. Now we have reminders for taking the weekly survey if you missed on the day. We have reminders to encourage you to take actions after a week of some factor with high level. We also revamped the action program exercise reminders. We also have notifications to recommend secondary factors action programs and to remind you that you have pending invites, for instance, which is another thing that we did with the bot. We also revamped the invitation flow and added rich invitation messages and a more comprehensive workflow of invitations and acceptance of those invitations. And on top of that, we even took the time to completely redo the homepage of the Slack Yerbo app and added direct linkage to support through intercom right inside the bot. Seventh, conversations. This is something that was non-existent by the 1st of January of this year. Nothing that you are going to see here was there. The only way we have to take action was with action programs, and now we have a full set of features for conversations that allows anyone to have conversations with a colleague and their manager, their direct reports, or basically anyone. So we added the ability, as we shown before, to add topics to either a new conversation or an existing conversation right inside the insights model. We added also the ability to open conversations right after finishing the survey on the Slack bot, and even added the ability to start conversations or add topic to conversations inside action programs. We also developed a hub for conversations where users could start, review, continue, or close conversations, and of course delete conversations. Then we developed the preparation screen wizard with 2 steps, selecting the person with information about the teams that we are sharing with them, the feature for auto-recommending topics based on the most significant factors, rearranging topics, deleting topics, adding new topics, and even accessing topics information from the insights model. And finally, of course, the main feature is the form itself, which is still dynamic. We added the features to add and remove topics inside the conversations, and then there is this very feature-rich form which has a set of topics, with each one of those topics containing a side widget that is different for each one of the types of topics that we have, the ability to add questions, and those questions could be a multiple prompt or single prompt questions depending on the definition of topic that we have in Contentful, a rich text format showing information kind of blocks, note blocks to add specific notes on each one of the topics or at the end of the conversation, and rich text input boxes with formatting for both answering the questions and adding notes. Beyond that, we added Slack integration, so you get notifications when a conversation is started or a topic is added to a conversation, or when the conversation is finished. Number 8 is one very simple thing to explain and very hard thing to implement, that is support for a new language. We implemented Spanish support during this period. Plus, we added the ability to change language on the website instead of just using the language settings from Slack, so that teams that has only web presence can also use this language feature. Finally, we made several changes, mostly under the hood, but some visual changes to completely, for once, get the Slack independence, so that teams that doesn't have Slack can use all the features from Yerbo. That includes the ability to invite people using email or invite with a shareable link, plus the ability to do the same during the team selection. So now you can have Slackless workspaces for your company and even have Slackless teams inside your workspace. Also, we augmented that with more and more web surveys. Right now, all the surveys that were available on Slack are now also available on the web. And we even had some time to do under the hood and the features on this period, like changing the way we used to have scheduled message from Slack to out of Slack, removing the home page at the web application, changing the way we manage internal IDs from Slack IDs to our own Mongo IDs, the ability to have A/B test comparisons with the analytics tools that we use, and a lot of tracking events added to our tracking system. So that is a very, very long list of things. There are other things that I didn't mention, but this is the main things that we have developed during this 6-month period within the engineering team, and of course with the help of all other teams inside Yerbo, from behavioral science to product and marketing. I hope you enjoyed this ride. It was not as short as I would expect, but as I mentioned, there were many things developed, and I wanted to recognize all of them. Thank you for getting till the end of this video, and I look forward for the recap of the end of 2022.